I'm Audrey, and I came into this world mere minutes after my twin sister Ashley. Those few minutes might as well have been years, given how differently our lives would unfold. Our parents, Linda and Robert Matthews, lived in a suburban house in Connecticut. Mom worked as a real estate agent, always dressed to impress, with her perfectly manicured nails and designer suits. Dad ran his own small accounting firm, spending most of his days buried in spreadsheets and tax forms. They seemed like your typical middle-class family, except for one thing: their obvious favoritism toward Ashley. I first noticed it when we were around 5. It was subtle at first, the kind of thing you might miss if you weren't living it every day. While other parents of twins dressed their children identically, celebrating their matching status, our parents made sure Ashley stood out. They'd take us shopping, and Ashley would get the new Nike sneakers while I got the clearance rack specials. She got the authentic Barbie dolls, I got the knockoffs from the dollar store. Even our birthday celebrations felt uneven. Ashley's portion of our shared cake always seemed bigger, her pile of presents always taller. These little moments piled up like stones in my pocket, weighing me down day after day. When Ashley got her ears pierced at 6, I wasn't even asked if I wanted mine done too. When she started taking ballet lessons, I was told we couldn't afford 2 sets of lessons. Somehow, though, there was always money for Ashley's growing list of activities: gymnastics, piano, art classes. Our early childhood photos tell the story better than I ever could. In every family picture, Ashley's front and center, usually in some frilly dress from an expensive children's boutique. I'm always somewhere in the background, wearing whatever was on clearance at Target, looking like an afterthought in my own family portraits. Maybe they just don't see it, I remember telling myself at night, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars on our shared bedroom ceiling. Ashley had twice as many stars on her side of the room. Even the universe above our beds played favorites. The worst part wasn't the material differences. Kids can survive without designer clothes and fancy toys. It was the way they looked at her versus how they looked at me. When Ashley spoke, they leaned in, hanging on every word. When I spoke, their eyes would drift, their attention already moving on to something else, someone else. Always to Ashley. As we approached school age, I held on to hope that things would change. Maybe once we were in school, once teachers and other adults were involved, our parents would see us both equally. Maybe they'd realize that having twins wasn't a burden but a blessing. Maybe they'd finally see me. I remember standing in front of our house that first morning, Ashley and I in our new uniforms, Mom taking pictures. For once, we looked identical: same plaid skirt, same white blouse, same navy cardigan. I thought maybe this was the beginning of change. "Girls, smile," Mom called out, but her eyes were fixed on Ashley. "Ashley, honey, tilt your head a little to the right. Perfect." The familiar ache in my chest returned. Even in identical clothes, she found ways to make Ashley shine brighter. Our classroom was bright and cheerful, with alphabet charts on the walls and tiny desks arranged in neat rows. Mrs. Thompson, our teacher, sat us alphabetically, Matthews and Matthews, side by side. I was thrilled. Finally, someone who would treat us the same. But after school, the old patterns emerged stronger than ever. Mom's silver SUV would pull up to the curb, and what happened next became a daily routine that felt like a twist of the knife. "Audrey, go straight home and start your homework," Mom would say, barely looking at me as I climbed out of the car. Then she'd turn to Ashley with a bright smile. "Ready for dance class, sweetheart?" Off they'd go, to ballet on Mondays, piano on Tuesdays, art class on Wednesdays, gymnastics on Thursdays, and drama club on Fridays. I'd watch them drive away, then walk into our empty house, the silence my only companion. I threw myself into my studies, thinking that maybe, just maybe, if I got perfect grades, they'd notice me. I'd sit at the kitchen table, methodically working through math problems, practicing my spelling words, reading ahead in our textbooks. The house would stay quiet for hours, until I'd hear the garage door open and their voices floating in, Ashley chattering about her latest achievement, Mom's proud responses echoing through the halls. "Mom, I got an A+ on my history test," I said one evening, holding up my paper. "That's nice, dear," she replied distractedly, helping Ashley unpack her dance bag. "Ashley, show Dad the new routine you learned today." I kept trying. Every perfect score, every teacher's praise, every gold star, I collected them like precious gems, hoping one day they'd be enough to make my parents' eyes light up the way they did for Ashley. Then came the night that changed everything. I was 12, heading to the kitchen for a glass of water after finishing my homework. Their voices drifted up from the den, where they often sat after Ashley went to bed. I normally ignored their late-night conversations, but something made me stop this time. "Sometimes I wonder if we made a mistake," Dad was saying, his voice heavy with something I couldn't identify. "What do you mean?" Mom asked. "Having twins. Ashley would have been enough. She's everything we could want in a daughter. But two of them." "I know what you mean," Mom sighed. "Ashley's special. She's meant for great things. But Audrey, she's just there. We would have been fine with just Ashley." The glass slipped from my hand, but I caught it before it could shatter. I wished I could catch my heart just as easily. In that moment, everything crystallized. The years of trying to earn their love, of hoping things would change, it all seemed so foolish now. They didn't want me. They never had. I was the unwanted twin, the extra daughter, the one they wished they didn't have. After that night, something shifted inside me. I stopped seeking approval and instead focused entirely on my studies. Turns out, freedom from constantly trying to please my parents cleared my mind in ways I never expected. My grades, already good, became exceptional. "Excellent analysis, Audrey," Mr. Peterson said one day in English class, holding up my essay on The Great Gatsby. "Class, this is exactly the kind of deep thinking I'm looking for." I could feel Ashley tensing up beside me, her pencil tapping against her desk in that aggressive way it did when she was angry. I kept my eyes forward, but I could see her face turning red from the corner of my eye. Similar scenes played out in other classes. Math, science, history, it didn't matter. The more the teachers praised my work, the more Ashley seethed. It came to a head in chemistry when Mrs. Rodriguez asked me to tutor other students. That evening, I heard Ashley's voice from downstairs, "Mom, the teachers are being mean to me. They always praise Audrey and make me look bad. They're doing it on purpose." The next day, Mom stormed into school, designer handbag swinging, heels clicking against the linoleum floors. I watched from the hallway as she marched into Principal Williams' office, where they'd called in Mrs. Chen, our class teacher. "I want to know why your teachers are discriminating against my daughter," Mom demanded. Mrs. Chen, bless her, stayed calm and professional. "Mrs. Matthews, let me show you something." She pulled out our progress logs, laying them side by side. "Here are both girls' records. Audrey consistently scores in the top percentile in all subjects. Ashley's grades are." "Are you suggesting my Ashley isn't smart?" Mom interrupted. "Not at all. I'm merely pointing out that Audrey's academic achievements are. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're all biased against Ashley." No amount of evidence could convince her. When she came home that day, I overheard her telling Dad that the teachers were obviously prejudiced against their precious Ashley. By 16, I was tired of asking for pocket money and watching Ashley get hundreds of dollars just for existing. I applied for a job at the Coffee Bean, a cute cafe just a few blocks from our house. It wasn't glamorous work, but I loved the independence it gave me. Plus, my coworkers actually appreciated my presence, a novel experience in my life. Ashley, of course, couldn't let me have even this small victory. "Oh my God, you're actually going to be a waitress," she sneered one morning, watching me put on my uniform. "That's so common. Mom, can you believe Audrey's going to serve people food?" Mom just made a disapproving noise, sliding another $100 bill across the table to Ashley for her shopping needs. That's when I remembered something I'd overheard years ago, a heated phone conversation where Mom had yelled, "I don't want anything to do with you anymore. You're embarrassing with your tiny house and your budget clothes. I've moved up in the world. She'd been talking to her parents, my grandparents. The ones I'd never met because they weren't good enough for her new lifestyle. That evening, while Mom and Ashley were at another shopping spree, I snuck into Mom's home office. In her address book, under D4, Do Not Contact, I found an address in the older part of town. The next day, instead of heading to my afternoon shift at the cafe, I took a bus to a small blue house with a well-tended garden. My heart was pounding as I walked up the path. I had no idea what to expect, but I knew I had to try. I raised my hand to knock on the door. The door opened, revealing an elderly couple. The woman had gray hair tied back in a neat bun, and the man wore wire-rimmed glasses. They looked at me with confusion until I spoke. "Hi, I'm Audrey Matthews. I think you're my grandparents." Their jaws dropped simultaneously. The woman, my grandmother, put her hand to her mouth. "Oh my God, Frank, it's really her." They invited me in, and suddenly I was sitting in their cozy living room, drinking tea from delicate cups while they couldn't stop staring at me. "You look just like your mother did at your age," Grandma said softly. Before she changed. That first visit turned into many more. I'd tell my parents I was working extra shifts at the cafe, but instead, I'd spend hours with my grandparents, bringing them pastries and cookies from work. They were wonderful listeners, genuinely interested in my life, my studies, my dreams. For the first time, I felt seen. Then came graduation day. The ceremony was typically Matthew's family style, all focus on Ashley. When they called my name as valedictorian, my parents barely clapped, but when Ashley walked across the stage, they hooped and hollered like she'd just won an Olympic medal. I should have been prepared for what came the next day, but somehow, they still managed to shock me. "Girls, we have exciting news," Mom announced at breakfast, practically bouncing in her seat. "We're celebrating graduation in Hawaii." My heart lifted for a moment. Despite everything, I thought maybe, just maybe, this one time. "Honey," Mom turned to me, her voice dripping with fake sympathy, "we only got 3 tickets, for us and Ashley. You understand, right? Someone needs to watch the house, and you have your job at the cafe." Ashley didn't even try to hide her smirk as she stirred her orange juice. "Don't worry, sis. I'll send you lots of pictures of me living my best life on the beach." The next morning, I watched from our front door as they loaded their expensive luggage into the taxi. Ashley turned back, waving with exaggerated enthusiasm. "I'll make sure to send you beautiful photos from Hawaii. You can look at them between serving tables." As soon as the taxi disappeared around the corner, I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called my grandparents. The tears I'd been holding back finally spilled over when I heard Grandma's voice. They went to Hawaii without me," I managed to get out between sobs. "They just left me here like I'm nothing." "Oh, sweetheart," Grandma's voice was soft but firm. "Come over right now. We'll have our own graduation celebration." I drove to their house, still wiping away tears. As I turned onto their street, I noticed something unusual, a brand new Mercedes C-Class sedan parked in their driveway, gleaming in the summer sun. It looked completely out of place next to their modest home. "Whose car is that?" I asked as I walked up to their front porch. Grandpa's eyes twinkled as he held up a set of keys. "Yours. Happy graduation, Audrey." I stood there, mouth open, sure I'd misheard him. "What? But how?" I thought. "Sit down, dear," Grandma patted the porch swing. "We have something to tell you." They explained how, after Mom cut ties with them, they'd invested their modest savings in several tech startups. Those investments had paid off spectacularly, but they'd chosen to keep living simply in their familiar home. "Your mother left us because she thought we were too poor, too beneath her," Grandpa said, shaking his head. "The irony is, we're probably wealthier than she is now. We just don't feel the need to show it off. We've been waiting for the right moment to help you," Grandma added. And this seemed perfect. I hugged them both, overwhelmed by their generosity and love. They ushered me inside, where they'd prepared a beautiful graduation lunch. The table was set with their best china, and a congratulations graduate banner hung across the dining room. Over homemade lasagna and garlic bread, they asked about my college plans. Actually, I said, feeling proud, I got accepted to Princeton with a full academic scholarship. I start in the fall. Their faces lit up with genuine joy, so different from my parents' lukewarm reaction when I'd told them. That's wonderful, Grandma exclaimed. But what about housing? The scholarship covers that? Well, I was planning to live in the dorms. Nonsense, Grandpa cut in. We'll get you a nice apartment near campus. Something safe and comfortable where you can focus on your studies. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Ashley, sending a photo of herself lounging on a Hawaiian beach, captioned, "Wish you were here, not." I looked at the message, then at my grandparents' loving faces, then at the keys to my new car sitting next to my plate. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the lesser twin. 2 weeks crawled by. I spent my days working at the cafe, visiting my grandparents, and preparing for college. Each evening, my phone would buzz with another notification, Ashley posing on different beaches, dining at expensive restaurants, or lounging by infinity pools. Each photo was accompanied by increasingly obnoxious captions, "Living my best life while someone serves coffee. This is what success looks like. Some people vacation in Hawaii, others just dream about it." Then came the day of their return. I was in the living room, pretending to read a book while watching through the window. The taxi pulled up, and I couldn't help but smile as I saw their reactions unfold in slow motion. Mom noticed it first. She stopped so abruptly that Ashley walked right into her, dropping her designer beach bag onto the concrete driveway. Dad, struggling with their expensive matching luggage set, nearly tripped over them both. "What is that?" Mom's voice carried through the front window, high-pitched and sharp. She was pointing at the Mercedes as if it might bite her, her perfectly manicured finger trembling slightly. Is that a new C-Class?" Dad stammered, his jaw hanging open. "The latest model?" I took my time walking to the front door, enjoying every second of their confusion. Their tan seemed to pale with each step I took. When I stepped onto the porch, they all turned to stare at me like they were seeing a ghost. "Whose car is that?" Dad demanded, his face red from both the Hawaiian sun and shock. I twirled the keys around my finger, the way Ashley always did with her designer purse straps when she was showing off. "Mine." Ashley let out a bark of laughter, but I could hear the uncertainty in it. "Yeah, right. Like you could afford that on your waitress salary. What did you do, steal it, rob the cafe? Or are you just parking it for some rich customer?" "Actually," I said, savoring each word like the expensive chocolates they'd never shared with me, "it was a graduation gift. From Grandma and Grandpa." The color drained from Mom's tanned face so fast I thought she might faint. "What? You know, your parents? The ones you were too embarrassed to talk to because they were too poor? Those grandparents." Dad turned to Mom so fast I thought he might get whiplash. "Linda, call your parents. Right now." His voice had that same demanding tone he used when ordering at restaurants. Mom's hand shook as she pulled out her phone, her French manicure catching the sunlight. She didn't even bother with pleasantries when Grandma answered, putting the phone on speaker without realizing it. "Where did you get the money for that car?" she demanded, her voice echoing in our front yard. I could hear Grandma's voice through the phone, calm and slightly amused. "Oh, hello to you too, dear. Enjoying your expensive vacation?" I saw all the lovely photos Ashley posted. "The Royal Hawaiian Hotel looks lovely this time of year." "Don't change the subject. How could you afford to buy Audrey a Mercedes?" "Well, sweetheart," Grandma's voice dripped with satisfaction, "it seems you underestimated us. Those embarrassing parents you were so ashamed of? We're quite comfortable now. More than comfortable, actually. We're rich." Mom's entire demeanor changed instantly, her voice becoming syrupy sweet. "Mom, I've been thinking, maybe it's time we put the past behind us." Family is so important, after all. Is it? Grandma's voice was cool. Of course. And speaking of family, Mom's eyes darted to Ashley, who was already preening. You have another granddaughter who would love to get to know you. She could really use a nice car too, maybe even something a little more special? Grandpa's laugh crackled through the speaker. You mean the granddaughter you just took to Hawaii while leaving Audrey alone? That granddaughter? Mom's face flushed. That's not. I mean, look, as grandparents, you should treat the girls equally. They're the same age, after all. It's only fair they get the same gifts. Equally? Grandma's voice turned sharp. That's rich coming from you, Linda. Parents should love their children equally too. But that hasn't been the case in your household, has it? The line went dead. Mom stared at her phone for a moment before turning to me, her expression hardening. Audrey, you need to give that car to your sister. Excuse me? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ashley needs a good car for college, Dad jumped in. She got accepted to State University. She needs reliable transportation. You're just working at that cafe, you don't need anything this fancy. Ashley was already walking toward the Mercedes, hand outstretched. Give me the keys, sis. You know, I'll look better driving it anyway. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sheer audacity of it all was just too much. This is my car, I said firmly. And I'm not giving it to anyone. Dad stepped forward, his face red with anger. If you don't give that car to your sister right now, you can get out of this house. Funny you should say that, I said, walking to the Mercedes. I popped the trunk, revealing my packed suitcases and boxes. I'd been ready to leave for days. Their mouths hung open as I pulled an envelope from my purse and held it up. Oh, and by the way, I won't be serving coffee much longer. I got accepted to Princeton on a full scholarship. Ashley's shriek could probably be heard 3 blocks away. Mom stumbled backward like I'd slapped her. Dad just stood there, opening and closing his mouth like a fish out of water. I got into my car, the leather seat still new enough to creak slightly. Through the windshield, I could see their shocked faces, their perfect family fantasy crumbling before their eyes. Those last few weeks of summer at my grandparents' house were the happiest I'd ever experienced. Every morning, I'd wake up to the smell of Grandma's coffee and the sound of Grandpa humming as he read the newspaper. No walking on eggshells, no competing for attention, no feeling like an unwanted shadow. Just peace. Moving to Princeton was bittersweet. I hugged my grandparents goodbye, promising to call every day, and set off in my Mercedes with everything I owned. The drive to New Jersey felt like crossing a boundary between my old life and my new one. My grandparents had found me a beautiful little apartment just 10 minutes from campus. Nothing flashy, but worlds better than any dorm room, hardwood floors, big windows, and even a small balcony where I could study. They'd insisted on paying the rent, despite my protests. I still wanted some independence, though, so I got a part-time job at a local coffee shop. The irony wasn't lost on me, still serving coffee, but this time by choice, not necessity. My coworkers were mostly other students, and for the first time in my life, I found myself making real friends. One Sunday afternoon, about a month into the semester, Grandma called with some interesting news. Your parents showed up at our door yesterday, she said. My heart skipped a beat. What did they want? Oh, the usual. Linda was all smiles and fake apologies, asking about our financial situation and hinting about Ashley's upcoming birthday. Your father kept looking around the house, probably trying to guess our net worth. What did you tell them? Grandpa's voice joined in on the line. We told them that we'd already decided what to do with our money. It's all going to you. I could picture their faces. How did they take that? Let's just say Linda's smile didn't look so genuine after that, Grandma chuckled. We asked them not to come back. That evening, I blocked their numbers and all their social media accounts. Ashley's too. I knew what would come next, sudden declarations of love and regret, offers to start fresh as a family. But I didn't need their kind of family anymore. Now, sitting in my constitutional law class, taking notes and actually enjoying the complexity of the material, I sometimes think about that little girl who used to pray for her parents' love. I wish I could tell her that she'd find something better, not just love, but respect, support, and the freedom to be herself. My phone buzzes quietly in my pocket, probably my study group confirming our meeting at the library later. Or maybe it's Jake, that cute guy from my psychology class who keeps asking to get coffee, not at my cafe, thankfully. It's such a normal life. No drama, no constant comparisons, no feeling like I'm not enough. Just me, my studies, my friends, and my future stretching out ahead of me, full of possibilities.